No, we have the most wonderful Dr. Hannah Barham Brown, who I will do a brief intro of you, Hannah. She is a doctor. She is a GP registrar. She has been something in the BMA. She does stuff like that. You can say I do my research really well normally, but I'm like, oh, Hannah's been my mate for years. I can introduce her without having to look this stuff up.
I'm a council member of the British Medical Association.
Thank you. Yeah, council member of the British Medical Association, deputy leader of the Women's Equality Party. We know that bit. And she has a TED Talk. She's on all the socials, and in fact, probably if you're listening or watching to this, you've actually probably already follow Hannah, so I don't need to tell you her socials. But you know, Popsy, what are you at, Popsy Brown?
Sorry,
you're eating, and I'm making you talk.
Such a professional as ever. No, so it's at Hannah Popsy on Twitter and at Hannah Popsy1 on Instagram, because there's apparently another Hannah Popsy. Outrageous.
Ooh, yeah, I had to do the thing of being really smug and making myself the Caroline Hunt on Instagram because somebody else had already taken it, but nobody had taken that one. Right, anyway, so today Hannah has very kindly agreed to join us, even though she is not a gamer. So we thought we would take this opportunity to try and convince her that gaming is something that she might enjoy, that she might have time for, that gaming is not the purview of teenage boys, and that there is a wider world of gaming out of there. So I'm going to start off by asking the panel first, because Hannah's still eating. What was it that got you into gaming, first of all? So, like, what was it that first got you? And I know we've talked about this sort of thing, but I think we haven't talked about it for a while, actually, but what it was that got you into gaming. So, Alex, first of all, what was it that got you into gaming?
That's a really good question. I'm going to say my family. The people I grew up with, basically, got me into gaming because they were playing games. And I thought, oh, let me have a go at that. I guess really from the most early age, it started out just like competitive family games at Christmas and then turned into computer games from there. Because in the mid-90s, they became a thing. And suddenly I wanted to play them. And we used to just, either we'd watch each other play or we'd have a go ourselves. So it was very much a family activity. And we were all equally enthused by it. And that's, I guess, I took it and ran with it and became the gaming nerd of the family, I would say. Definitely. That is how it started for me.
Jen, what about you? What got you into gaming?
Oh, gosh. This is a really long...
sorry.
This is such a long story, and from the history times, way back when. No, I mean, we always
make it up if you want.
I'll just make it. No, we always had a Christmas game. Every Christmas we'd get a board game or something. So we always played board games as a family, and I used to play Monopoly with my cheating brother. And then I used to play Monopoly by myself because that was more fun. And then he got a computer. He got like a Spectrum. I think we had something else before that, but anyway, he got an old computer, and it was one of those ones where you put a cassette in it, and it took 5 days for the game to load. But I really enjoyed that, and there was also programming that you could do then, and I really enjoyed programming and making games and making things happen, and because it was much more accessible then than it is today. I do very little programming today, a bit of web design, but that's it. But so I'd say it's annoying actually, because it was probably my brother, and then later it was online gaming. So I got involved in, when I was 12, he got a modem for his Christmas present, and so we started going online and playing multi-user games, which were just text-based games at that point, and just text-based adventures. And if you wanted to go north, you typed N, and if you wanted to talk to somebody, you typed tell and then their name, and it would send a message. So it was really, really like basic games, but very literary. So there was a lot of descriptions and a lot of reading and a lot of sort of thinking involved in them. So that, but it was also very social. So that's really what sort of got me into it. And then through that, I got into gaming more. But the reason I say it's frustrating is because the story that you hear so often when you talk to women about what got you into gaming is it was a man in their life. It was a brother, it was a boyfriend, it was a, you know, it was a male friend, but it's usually men that get women into gaming. And I think that's really frustrating. But yeah, that's my true story.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, I used to my Amstrad that we bring up all the time, and I love New Zealand story. See, I've got pictures. I'm cheating.
She's cheating.
I'm not used to this exciting levels of technology.
I know. It's amazing.
I can't process any of this, but yay!
It's fine. And it's interesting you say that, Jen, because like obviously as a kid, I think it was purely me wanting an Amstrad and seeing them on TV and other people having that. I mean, I've got 4 older brothers, so it's kind of hard to like separate that. But I think it was me who was the one who wanted it. But there was definitely then a lull, no gaming. And then I was a teenager who had boyfriends, and the boyfriends got me into back into gaming, as it were. So, Hannah, what's your? I put my serious voice on.
That's like my doctor voice. I'm quite impressed.
Have you got any experience of gaming at all?
So it's actually really interesting listening to you lot talking about this, because I think it's my brothers that put me off ever getting into gaming. So my eldest brother, my late brother Gareth, was like massively into gaming, like every type you can imagine, to the extent that when he died, an ex-boyfriend of mine got in touch and said, you know, I knew I'd got through to Gareth when on day 5 of watching him play yet another game I didn't understand, he begrudgingly handed over a controller. And I was just like, yeah, that's pretty much it. But it was Gareth's thing. And I think, you know, he was very unwell as a teenager and had a heart transplant and stuff. So he couldn't go out and like do as much of the stuff as me and my other brother were doing. And we were those awful kids that was enrolled in multiple drama, orchestra, dance classes every week. Like we just didn't stop. So we were very rarely at home for starters, but it was always Gareth's thing. And I think as a family, we're incredibly competitive. Like, Jen, I completely get the Monopoly thing. Like, our Monopoly games would generally end up with Gareth throwing the Monopoly board, because we also have family rules. That means that technically it never has to end.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, genuinely, we've rewritten the rules of Monopoly and it never has to end. So it can get a bit stressful. But yeah, so as a result, I think my parents were quite happy for me and Harry to never have an interest in gaming, because they knew that all hell would break loose if like we were up against each other in anything. The only thing I can remember is that Gareth and Harry both got Nintendos. I love that you can't say Nintendo without doing the hands. They both got Nintendos when we were teenagers. And I remember like long road trips to Scotland, having to take it in turns. And we weren't great at taking it in turns, which is awkward for a family of 4 children. And yeah, I got my turn and I still have no idea what was going on. So I just went back to reading the book most of the time, I think. So yeah, other than that, I have no knowledge of gaming whatsoever. It's just never really entered my consciousness. Or appealed. But
I wanted you as like a blank canvas here.
But I'd just like to interject that clearly your family does do board games.
Mm.
So we've talked a lot about that.
Yeah,
how gaming is a whole thing. It's not just computer gaming. So
yeah, we describe ourselves as intersectional gamers, Hannah, which is so that we include all types of gaming, whether it be computer games or board games.
But again, like even the board games were Gareth's thing. Like we would do all of that. We loved it, and we'd just sit there going, "Oh, great, Monopoly again, Scrabble, woo!" Like I think as a family, we've played a board game maybe once in the last 10 years. And it was literally me and my mum playing Scrabble against my brother and his wife. And it got so competitive, because my mother's worse than I am, that we've just agreed it never happens again. Because we end up hating each other.
I'm starting, because the thing is, I think when you try and introduce people to games, you have to get a view of what it is they want out of it and what their personality is, and we'll come to that in a bit. But I'm starting to get a picture of what it is that we need to think about in terms of games.